What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another VGC Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be doing a spotlight on Mamoswine for the regulationE format. So Mamoswine's an interesting option, right? Ice ground coverage has always been relatively good in VGC, and Mamoswine has had its spots here and there, especially in Sword and Shield, and now it's also finding some spots in Scarlet and Violet, right? Because it has a couple of tools going for it, right? Besides the coverage. First of all, the ability Oblivious is really good for it because, again, you are immune to Intimidate. So if you just consider stuff like Landorus and Arcanine, these are all things that, can't really bother Mamoswine for that matter. If you look at the base stats, base HP 110, very good bulk there. Attack 130, very strong. Okay, the defense 80, not too bad, and then 60 is the one lacking stat, and of course the speed is a little bit mid-tier, with base speed 80. But this is why teams have been able to put it on something like Tornadus and then just get yourself some speed control with Tailwind. Okay, and then at the same time, you just consider Mamoswine does have priority Ice Shard, which is very good, into other stuff like other genies, other Landorus, other Tornadus, grass types like Rillaboom don't want to be taking Ice Shard in general. And then again, your grass coverage of high horsepower is also very good into stuff like Heatran, Ogerpon if it does do a Terra Fire option there. Arcanine, like I said, doesn't want to be taking high horsepowers. And then just in general, like Mamoswine, even with like this Focus Sash idea, which is what we've seen in some of these teams, can do very well. And against like Fluttering Chiyu leads, if you have like Terra Ghost, for example, here, dodging fake out stuff, then at the same time, you can just click, ground type attacks into Chiyu and then Ice Shard, or ground type attacks into Flutter Mane. And then you're actually in a really good spot, right? And then if you just take a look at, the relevant meta at the moment, just look at some of the mons that, kind of lose to Mamoswine here. Again, Iron Hands, great matchup into there. Like, it does have the fighting coverage there to take on Mamoswine, but at the same time, you have Terra Ghost option there, and high horsepower is just going to do a lot of damage into Iron Hands. It does have great physical defense, so you're not going to ever KO it like that, but, at the same time, you have a decent matchup there. Landorus, like we said, doesn't want to take on Mamoswine, 4 times weak to ice, and the ground type attacks aren't really doing anything to Mamoswine. Ogerpon, like we said, if it doesn't Terra, all right, a decent spot, but if it does, then high horsepower is going to do well. Rillaboom, Sinisha, Ursaluna, Blood Moon, Heatran, these are all things, you don't want to be taking these ice type attacks. And then Heatran, like I said, if it goes Terra Grass, you got ice moves. If it doesn't, you got a ground move. So you got a good matchup there. That being said, just be aware of your speed here. If you do need to outspeed the Heatran, right? Because it is a fire type. So just watch out for that. Wellspring, Ogerpon, it does have, it can be a little bit tricky, right? Because, again, weak to water type attacks. But we have an option, for that on the rest of the team that we're going to show you. But yeah, Ninetales. So you'll be giving me a defense boost, and sometimes you might even consider Ninetales Mamoswine teams. That's also pretty good. Urshiva Rapid Strike, the fighting coverage, again, you might have to just burn your Terra Ghost, so that gets interesting. Chiyu, pretty good, a little bit even there, just depending on how you play it. You do need the speed control against it, but again, ground coverage against the fire type is great. Then you have Ursaluna, Hisuian, Arcanine, and Amoonguss. Again, the Arcanine can't intimidate the Mamoswine, but it does have a fire move against it. But as long as you can support the Mamoswine, you can do relatively well there with high horsepower as well. Amoonguss also doesn't want to be taking these strong ice type attacks anyway. Goldango and Polion, these are all weak to ground type attacks, but again, steel coverage is something to be aware of if you're a Mamoswine user. Milotic here could burn the Mamoswine, with Scald, and you are a ground type weak to water, so that could be something to be aware of. Then you have like Torkoal, and then by the way, it also does relatively well against like some of the other dragon types. So if we scroll down here, look at this: Roaring Moon, Kamo-O, Dragonite. We do relatively well into these options, right? Because again, the ice coverage almost forcing them to terrestrialize in general, right? Baxcalibur being the only one where it's like relatively even there because it's also an ice type. Bundle, good physical defense, so that one could be interesting again because of freeze dry against you. Then as you keep going down, these are somewhat more niche options here. King Gambit, of course, you can do something there. And then from here, it's like, oh, okay. And then here's Mamoswine at 2% usage. So it does have some good matchups. It has some matchups that are like 50-50, and then some others that are like, you know, maybe you need a little bit more support on your team. But overall, you know, it does have support. It does have a niche within the meta. Like, I'm not going to say that run this over Landorus. I still think Landorus is just the better ground type to use. But Mamoswine does have a niche, you know, depending on how you want to run a squad. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the tournament teams as of this moment that have used Mamoswine relatively well with some good results. And then from there, we'll just build a relatively general Mamoswine squad. All right. So let's take a look. All right. So let's take a look at the Himi Tour from, you know, a while back. And this was basically a 100+ person tournament. So good numbers here, good sample size. And we have second place Mamoswine team, which is why I kind of wanted to take a look at this one first. So this is actually the way I would run it almost, right? It looks like you could put Landorus here and instead there's just a Mamoswine. But overall, you have some good support here. Like I said, the Wellspring Ogerpon is going to be good, right? Because you can do water absorb, you know, for the water attacks, which is something that Chiyu and Mamoswine don't want to take. And then at the, you know, because you have follow me redirection. And then at the same time, you know, the steel coverage, you have some good resist here with Chiyu and Iron Hands. And even your own Wellspring Ogerpon can also do some steel resist as well. And then at the same time, fire type attacks, the Chiyu, well, not necessarily Chiyu, but even Ogerpon with Terra Water can also help resist that in that sense as well. So you got some good options here. But overall, you know, pretty standard squad here. Tornadus with Tailwind, which is what Mamoswine likes to do here. You know, get the speed control, go for high horsepowers, some, you know, even some strong icicle crashes, don't miss. And then priority ice shard here, relatively standard Iron Hands assault vest set. Fluttermane with boost energy and Chiyu, you know, Fluttermane Chiyu combination also very, very strong. Sunny Day here, making the Chiyu do a little bit more damage, of course, enabling also the photosynthesis on the Fluttermane if you had already burned your booster energy, so that's also pretty good. But then overall, like, again, you have fake out pressure, redirection support. This is a good team for Mamoswine. This is how I would do it, honestly. So we'll probably build this in the team builder, but let's look at some other options here. So here's another one from a Spear Pillar Showdown tournament. So Deagle had also used Mamoswine here. This is actually a pretty cool team. So his idea, still you have Tornadus, Fluttermane, Chiyu, so that's a very common core already with these four. But then you add something like Galarian Zapdos here, which is actually pretty smart. You know, again, Defiant, you know, along with Oblivious. So like, what is your Intimidate Mons really doing in games like this? Not a whole lot. And Deagle is saying, look, I've got Mamoswine with Earthquake. I got two flying types here, Tornadus and Galarian Zapdos. I can simply click Tailwind and click Earthquake, do a bunch of damage, and I have Choice Band here. And then at the same time, you have Galarian Zapdos, another flying type that you can click Earthquake next to. So this is a smart idea from Deagle. And then look at this. Choice Scarf Galarian Zapdos, right? And then you know what Zapdos can do, right? Thunderous Kick, reduce defenses, right? And then at the same time, now you're taking even more damage from Mamoswine, right? So it's almost like an active form of Champion in that sense, right? And then at the same time, you know, if you want to click a fighting move into Mamoswine, you don't have to necessarily click your Ghost Terra. You could even potentially switch it out into your Galarian Zapdos in that matter, right? And then just, you know, absorb that fighting type attack. But also pretty good. And then if you want to get speed control by clicking like Icy Wind, then Galarian Zapdos gets to play with its Defiant boost there and just go ham. And good idea with U-turn pivot here. So this is also really relatively nice. But this is Life Orb Chiyu. I like this. And then Choice Specs Fluttermane. Power Gem is really good. It's great into like the Fire Ogerpons that do Terastallize. So you have that going for you. And then same idea with Tornadus as the other team there with Sunny Day and Taunt. And then here's Rillaboom instead of Iron Hands. It's always a back and forth thing, you know, with Rillaboom and Iron Hands. But Fake Out, Assault Vest user, high horsepower, Grassy Glide. So here's another good priority Pokemon here. But overall, similar idea to the other team, but the Galarian Zapdos does make a big difference here in how you want to play it. Right? And you can go Earthquake here because you have two flying types here. So this is a smart idea from Deagle. But yeah. And then over here in Peoria, we had another Mamoswine team. So that's pretty good. Got a 6-3 result. So, you know, get some CP out of it. This is a loaded dice Mamoswine set. So this is with Icicle Spear. So they're not really high on the Icicle Crash. You probably missed too many times. But here's Tornadus. Here's Fluttermane. So here's the Sunny Day stuff. Enabling the Fluttermane over here. And then at the same time, you know, reduce water damage against Mamoswine and even against Fluttermane altogether. But here's another idea, and here's another Ogerpon here. So good support. This does not have Follow Me. This is just straight Ivy Cudgel, Wood Hammer with another ground move, Stomping Tantrum. And then here's Furgraph, denying priority moves, and then also giving you Trick Room on the team. And then here's the Dark Urshifu, which is much better in Regulation E as opposed to Regulation E. So here's another idea with Mamoswine, but you can kind of see the similar core here with Tornadus, Fluttermane, and Mamoswine. So, you know, that's pretty much how you want to go about it. And then just build from this 3, right? So, and then you're probably going to want to put the Chiyu in the other slot here. So this way you get a nice little combination with Fluttermane and Chiyu. Slap on and, you know, fake out user and Rillaboom and Iron Hands. And then just round out your final slot with whatever you want there, right? So let's go back into the team builder. Let's finish off this team, right? And then we'll do a little test battle. Okay, so like the other person did, the boys are back. So we're probably just gonna do the same idea here with the Ogerpon here. And then what that also does is it gives you a Fire, Water, Grass core with Chiyu and Ogerpon, but you're able to support these two, you know, because you have Follow Me, Redirection support. You know, redirect all the water moves into the Ogerpon, you know, and that's good at neutralizing one of those weaknesses, right? And then in terms of the fighting weakness, you also have like a flying type here, which is what you want here. And then at the same time, just slap on a fake out user here with the Iron Hands, right? So you get redirection, you get fake out pressure, you have speed control here with Tailwind, right? And we're probably gonna have Icy Wind on this Fluttermane over here, so that makes sense. And then, you know, some Trick Room games, you know, just bring in your Iron Hands, you know, click fake out, or just taunt the Trick Room setter. If it's Indeedee, all right, you got Chiyu over here, that's also totally fine. Then you just bring in the Iron Hands in the back. You can also just technically use Substitute Fluttermane in that sense, right? If you really want to run Sub Flutter, you know, for some of those Trick Room games, if you're not great at positioning yet, then you can definitely use Substitute Fluttermane. But we're going to be doing it without it, right? We'll be just fine, I promise. Okay, so in terms of rounding out this move set here, I think we just go standard like the other players were doing and just go Bleak Wind and Sunny Day here. Just enable the Fluttermane and Chiyu over here and just take reduced damage from Urshifu stuff. Now that does mean your Ogerpon might do reduced damage as well, but you still have, you know, things to do as this Ogerpon in Sunny Day, so have no fear. I think Cobra Cloak still the best thing to do along with Terra Ghost. That's grass. All right, Mamoswine, Focus Sash. Yeah, I think so. And then just Icicle Crash. You know, we don't mess here, so don't worry about it. The Flutter, I think we do want to go Choice Specs. All right, and I do want to go Life Orb here on the Chiyu with Protect. I think one of these has to have Protect. I don't think you can forgo Protect on both of these mons, right? So then that means Dazzling Gleam, of course, you know, great combination with Chiyu, good spread damage. I do like Shadow Ball. All right, and then in the last slot here, I think just straight up Moonblast is pretty good. And I kind of want to reorganize this order. Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and Icy Wind. This is how I want to do it, okay? Then the Chiyu, you know, standard stuff, Heat Wave and Snarl. So damage mitigation there, and then just Dark Pulse, I think is okay. And then same thing, Terra Ghost over here. Where are you, Ghost? Yep, there you are. Flutter, I still, you can even keep this, like, you can definitely go like Terra Water, or you can even go like Terra Fairy. Just really depends on how you want to build the squad, but, you know, I think Fairy does have some good merit here because of Moonblast and or Dazzling Gleam. All right, Ogerpon, you know, Ivy Cudgel, the Bop on the Head, Wood Hammer, Follow Me, and Spiky Shield, right? Then Iron Hands, so Assault Vest, standard Iron Hand sense, Drain Punch, Wild Charge, and then Heavy Slam to snipe another Fluttermane. And I think that's how we want to go about it. Okay, so now let's go back. Oh wait, did we do the Terra here? No, we need Terra Fire, right? Resist the Fire Ogerpon and also resist the Fluttermane damage. I think that's pretty good. We got everything here, right? Yes. So now let's go back into Tornadus here, and now let's start rounding out some of these EVs. Okay, so back here. So I've always been running Bull Tornadus for a very, very long time now. It has been very, very nice just because, you know, you don't have to burn your Ghost Terra to survive Dragonite Bandit E-Speed. And then at the same time, we're calcing for the Urshifu Surging Strikes. Okay, which, by the way, Choice Scarf Urshifu is rising yet again, so just beware of that. Like, it's not as prevalent as it once was in Regulation D, as far as like an Urshifu Rapid Strike, but it did be in the finals in Peoria, and for good reason. But I still also want to calc to survive that as well. So this is the bulk that we've always been using, and then just 84 speed investment. This is all we really need. This is, again, you're outspeeding 139, which is what some of these Ogerpons like to do, just so that, with the +1 boost, they can outspeed modest flutters, but we speed creep at 142, so yeah. Then the Mamoswine, focus asset, just go Jolly here, and Jolly's important as well. Hitting 145, this will outspeed Landorus, which is good for you. I understand they are they are Choice Scarf, but, if you can even the playing field, with Icy Wind and or Tornadus, then you're gonna win that matchup anyway. Yeah, priority Ice Shard. Okay, Fluttermane. So I still like a Timid set here, right? You can technically go Modest here, just deal more damage with Chiyu, but I think Timid is still pretty good just in terms of like winning the speed tie. And what you want to do is go to 132. This is what's gonna outspeed the Modest Flutters at the very least, and then just 1 point in the Spadef. And that's really all you want out of your Fluttermane. And then from here, you can just go something like this and just go about 212 and then 124. This is going to survive the Adamant Shenpao, Icicle Crashes, the Sucker Punches as well. And then you don't have so much special attack, but that's okay. You have Choice Specs here, and then you have a Chiyu. So do you really need so much special attack? You can kind of cut it there. Then the Chiyu itself, I just go max speed here. Get a little bit of Life Orb optimization, so some HP bulk there. Let's go to 139 here, and then from there just dump the rest into special attack like this. So just a tiny little bit. Then the Ogerpon. So with Tailwind, I do like to go Adamant here. One thing to note, I do like to at least have an even number in my Spadef, because again, it is getting a special defense boost. So I don't want to have an odd number here. Otherwise, it's going to be a decimal, and then when you have a decimal in Pokemon, things round down. So we don't want that. We want a nice solid whole number. So 118 times 1.5 get you a nice whole number. But I still go to 188 speed here. Okay. This is, under Tailwind, you are going to outspeed a +1 boosted Fluttermane. So in that sense, again, 310 beats 307. So that's pretty good. And then honestly here, then you just go like the benchmark here. The second EV bump here in Adamant Nature. And then just put 1 point in defense, and then the rest just goes into HP like this. That's really all you need, okay? And again, if you don't know what EV bumps are, and you're trying to play competitive Pokemon, and you want to understand like how I invest these things, especially with moving the bar and looking for these bumps, so make sure you comment in the video description below, what are EV bumps? So this way I can tell you what they are, because, when you're trying to do team building, it's a very important aspect to understand, especially, in the early goings, right? Just going for these benchmarks, right? Or in other words, EV bumps. Okay, so ask what they are if you don't know what they are. Iron Hands, I've been using the same Iron Hands set for forever, man. It just second EV bump here in Adamant Nature, a little bit of HP investment, max Spadef, 1 point in defense, a little bit of speed for speed creeping, and that's really all you need. This Iron Hands set has, never failed me. Are there others? Yeah, I can show you some actually. So let's take away a little bit of HP here. All right, let's go to like 236. Let's put right here, like let's go to let's have it at like 169, right? This is 168. Yeah, this is also pretty good. So why 84 speed? So after Tailwind, you go to 168, right? Which outspeeds another Chiyu, right? So you can definitely do something like that if you're more comfortable with that. So that's another cool little tech that you can have on your team, where you can just double your speed here on your Iron Hands and outspeed a Chiyu. So that's also pretty cool. I would not reveal that game 1 though, but in game 3, that's also pretty helpful. But if you don't really care about that, then you can just stay with the standard stuff, and just go with your typical investment on your Iron Hands here. Okay, so these are just like general quick EV spreads, not necessarily like final, but at least good enough where you have something to start with on ladder, right? So Fire, Water, Grass core with Chiyu and Ogerpon here. You have a hyper offensive core with Tornadus, Flutter, and Chiyu, and then Mamoswine can come in and also deal a bunch of damage and have some good matchups and good coverage into a lot of super meta Pokemon. And Iron Hands is just really good into like fake out pressure and having that steel move to snipe other Fluttermanes. Okay, so from here, let's just do a quick battle and showdown and see how it does. Okay, so we ran into this. So this is another Tornadus Fluttermane Chiyu combination. with Lily Cole stuff and an Urshifu, right? And this is the Dark Urshifu. So I'm not going to bring my own Chiyu because his own Chiyu is going to boost my own Fluttermane in that sense. So Mamoswine looks really good here, actually, right? We have ice coverage into 2 of these Pokemon, right? And then we have ground coverage into the other 2. So Mamoswine looking good against 4 of these options, right? It's just the other Urshifu that we have to watch out for. And then at the same time, we have our own Tornadus. We can taunt the, the Lily Cole thing, the Lilligant, if he decides to go for after you eruption stuff. And then at the same time, we have Icy Wind on our Fluttermane as well, if we really need the speed control. But there we go. Here's my Flutter, here's my Tornadus, and he decided to go with Torkoal and the Lilligant. So this is fine here. So we are pretty much forced to taunt this Lilligant, right? And then just hit the Torkoal, so this way, if he does go for the after you eruption stuff, it's not going to do a whole lot of damage. All right, so there's the taunt, right? And that's exactly what he was going for. So this is a straight, easy Shadow Ball into Torkoal, does so much. So this eruption just doesn't do a whole lot. So we got a good turn 1 there. And now this Torkoal is under pressure if he wants to give it up. But then now this is just literally free Bleak Windstorm because this Lilligant is taunted. So not a whole lot he can do here. All right, and he does swap into the Chiyu. So that'll take the Shadow Ball. But Leaf Storm does not pick up, right? So now we get free Shadow Ball into Chiyu. Right, and then Bleak Windstorm, good chip damage into Chiyu again. I'm looking for the speed drop. I don't really get it, so it doesn't matter. But again, we're still in a pretty good situation here because now we just go for Tailwind. I do want to get rid of the Lilligant here because I don't want to deal with it later, and I was trying to catch a swap. So we do let the Chiyu live, but we have Mamoswine anyway, so that's also fine. Heat Wave does pick up here. All right, but now we just go Iron Hands and we go into Mamoswine here. So it does have Flutter, but I don't need to fake out here. I can just be greedy and go for Heavy Slam and then just remove the Chiyu off the top. Right, so he does go into Torkoal. Doesn't really help him because the ground move is still super effective. All right, we remove the Torkoal, maybe predicting the fake out there, but now we just snipe the Flutter. I almost never click fake out there, and now this is it. Mamoswine just cleans up here with high horsepower, and there it is, right? So look, Mamoswine had a pretty good matchup into something like this. So, very standard, straightforward, hyper aggressive team with like another Fluttermane Chiyu combination. So we were able to do relatively well there, and you get to see some value with Mamoswine. Now, could Landorus have done that? Yeah, it definitely could have, right? And even the Intimidate would have been pretty good. And then the Choice Scarf would have outsped potentially the Fluttermane anyway, especially when we had Tailwind already. But you still don't get access to ice coverage, which I think is still pretty strong, in a format like this. So at the very least, Mamoswine can work. You just need a good team around it. This is one of those teams I feel like can do that job. So shout outs to Boys Are Back for the inspiration, and we'll link this Pokepaste in the video description below, just so that you have something to start with if you wanted to try and use Mamoswine here. All right, so there it is once again. So it's a hyper aggressive team with Focus Sash, Mamoswine. And if you want to try it out, there you go. Here it is. Like I said, if you wanted to try substitute Fluttermane for a little bit of a better Trick Room matchup, you can definitely do that. And then just put the specs on the Chiyu. That's also totally fine. And then at the same time, I still think Sash Mamoswine is pretty good on a team like this, as is the Water Ogerpon. So yeah, give this a go. Let me know how you do if you do try it out. And then, if you want to do a little bit of team building with me, if you need some help, if you're going to a Premier Challenge, if you're going to a local, if you're going to a future regional and you need some help, all right, we've been very successful so far, dating even back to Regulation D. Now Regulation E, we've had a bunch of teams that have top cut, a bunch of online tours, and we just had another team that got top 4 in the recent the recent Players Challenge in Sacramento. So that's also pretty good. We'll discuss that team in a future video. But hey man, we're on a roll here, and if you're trying to go to one of these big tournaments and you need help with a squad, sign up on the channel with team building. It's a tier 3 sub. It's in the video description. There's a link to join the channel, or in the comment section there is that same link where you can join that channel with the tier 3 sub, and then from there you're able to message me on Discord or even join my Discord and then we can schedule a one-on-one meeting, and then from there we can get you that squad that you need to be able to do well at these big events. All right, so that's gonna do it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.